So, following this interesting presentations and very fruitful discussions that took place earlier, I would like to welcome you again, now from the position of the moderator, along with my wonderful team of panelists, distinguished personalities of the business world, I would say, not just shipping, that we will continue this brainstorming and we will approach the topic of our panel in a holistic way, because it certainly, this is the only way we can speak more about AI and the fields that have an effect and the impact on all the fields of the shipping, the global shipping. So your names are on the screen, so I'm just going to say welcome Dimitri, Marvin, Elias, Harry, and George. It is undeniable that AI has ushered a new era and transformed the way we work across all industries. So, Elias, how can the maritime sector leverage this technological evolution to its advantage?
So, thank you for your question, Chrysoula. Well, the first thing that any industry, maritime included, and in maritime industry, I'm sure they have the information is data. So they need to leverage the data they already have. In maritime, you have data from everywhere. Business systems, engines, any component on the vessel produces data. Thousands of sensors, I heard Katerina said in the previous panels. So you need to actually gather all this information and start using them in order to have a competitive advantage via AI. To conclude, multiple use cases as well. Okay, as natural language understanding, security, cybersecurity.
Exactly, that's the red flag for critical work environments and industries such as shipping, cybersecurity. So, George, how can AI enhance cybersecurity in maritime communication networks, and please name the key implementation challenges the industry that we have to deal with.
Hello from my side also. So as AI enhanced in cybersecurity, it gives us benefit with adaptive monitoring, threat protection, and the key benefit is, I'm keeping my notes also, the anomaly detection, that it's very crucial, the predictive threat intelligence, the automated response, the encryption techniques that we can provide with that, and the real-time monitoring that we have through that.
Absolutely.
And the challenges is one of my main challenge is the legacy system that we have on board. Some old ECDIs that we need to have communication with them, some from the engine, some sensors from the existing vendor that we have. So this is my main. And then we don't have standardization. There's a lack here there. Each company, each flag doesn't have a common
the framework,
approach.
Yes.
To
and
that.
The boundaries set. I think was earlier discussed regarding the boundaries and the framework. You are absolutely right. Sorry, something else you would like to add?
And finally, the vulnerabilities that we have to take good care with that, because we connect to a lot of different systems. We connect to ports. The port needs to give us some data. The office also. Different vendors in each vessel. Not all companies uses the same vendor to have his cybersecurity. And all this might lead to a data breach. And data breach in maritime is very crucial.
Indeed. So, implementation, Marvin. Efficient, effective, and most importantly, since we are in the shipping industry, safe implementation reflects human actions and requires reliable processes and systems managed by competent people with skills, specific skills. So, however, it is a fact that shipping professionals, and especially seafarers, already have a lot of training and lots of things to complete. So do you see AI adding to this workload, or actually does it have the potential to reduce it?
Thank you, Chrysoula. Yeah, in the beginning, AI might actually add to the workload because it's a new tool. A new tool needs to be implemented, it needs to be learned, but obviously the long-term goal should be to reduce the workload. We have an increasing complexity in all areas of maritime, ashore and on board, for example, through new technologies and regulations. In the engine room, it's becoming more and more complex. It's not the simple engine of the past with new fuels. There are already AI tools in development, maybe even used by now, that help the engineers, for example, by uploading photos and problem descriptions to find exactly the issue and to reduce the likelihood of breakdowns for preventive maintenance. This doesn't make the engineer any less of an expert, but it can be seen as a kind of on-the-job learning that helps them deal directly with the more complex situations. But obviously, they need to be aware of the risks. As George said, there are quite some risks. And I have to disagree with the previous panel that said that AI will be something that runs in the background. I believe users need to know the flaws and the limitations of AI to correctly handle it, and it needs to be integrated into processes. If we go back, mentioned by George and mentioned earlier with Actis, for example, one of the fears was over-reliance, that basically navigators will not look out of the window anymore, but only look on their electronic chart suddenly. These worst-case scenarios never came to place, but I think shipping companies and technology providers, obviously, can learn something from the previous implementation of technology, mainly that we have to adapt processes. Technology is not standing alone. It needs to be integrated with humans, and this integration happens through clear processes that need to be fit for the tool. You cannot just dump an AI tool into an existing process. You need to adjust the process and make sure that it works together nicely.
I agree. And in terms of integration and adaptation, you need to prepare the ground for the adaptation. Training is one thing, reskilling, upskilling people, because they need to be fully aware of the process of the learning and development of a tool, of a new tool. And most importantly, they need to know why they go under this training. So they will be involved and committed to this evolution. So, yes, thank you, Marvin. ESG,
Cool.
Dimitri. And as I mentioned also to my presentation, because it's one of my favorite topics, I must say, should not be considered as a trend and definitely not another tick in the box. So it is definitely a global call for actions. Industries need to be aware, and of course shipping, if they want to stay ahead and be part of this evolutionary change. So, Dimitri, name us the challenges for integrating ESG criteria into corporate strategy and being compliant with the mandatory sustainability report.
Thank you for the question. I'm very glad we're talking about ESG because, I felt that I'm an outlier in this agenda because,
No,
we're talking about data.
I can assure you you're not.
AI, but I'm very glad and thank you for the question. First of all, companies, they need to realize that integrating the ESG criteria into the decision-making and also entering to the operating, to the regulatory environment, it's a very complex and challenging transition process to make, especially when the company is in an immature level. Now, some of the challenges, because we have challenges, because we deal with data, and when we're talking about ESG, we're talking about non-financial data, which is very important
you
as the
mentioned that on the
financial
presentation,
data.
yes.
There are many challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the complexity of the key metrics, because ESG covers a broad range of data, such as carbon emissions, energy use, labor practices, because you talk about, like human, a board diversification on the board. So all this data, it's very, very difficult to collect, to measure, and to standardize in a way that can be analyzed in a proper way. Another challenge is the inconsistency of data sources. Many companies, and particularly the shipping company, which is a large organization, they have so much operation, they rely on third-party people
Providers,
that
any
collaborate.
providers,
Yes,
yeah.
and these parties, they lack the capability to provide accurate and timely ESG data. Another big challenge is the tracking of the GHG emissions, the indirect scope 3, which is a big challenge for all organizations, especially in the shipping industry. And this requires a robust collaboration with the supply chains and with all the partners. So it's very hard to collect this data. And finally, there is a problem with there is a lack actually with a common methodology to evaluate all this data in a transparent way. And we're very glad that we implemented this project in Cyprus, because through the platform, this platform gives solutions to all these challenges. So, and to be more practical, what the companies have to do in the early stage before entering the ESG framework is to start from the basics. Simple mathematics, we say. I mean, to work to develop structured data. Once they do that, then the process is much easier to understand where they're standing now, where they want to go, and how they go to reach the final goal of the organization. So it's very important. Data is a key, as the previous panelists spoke. Without data, there's no technology, there's no AI solutions. So data is a problem, is a challenge, and companies, they need to start taking some action in order to develop proper databases.
Hari, share with us some tangible benefits of AI that can practically enhance the maritime security landscape in critical fields such as piracy and cybersecurity. I think there was a question earlier, cybersecurity threats. And to put it in the right words, address some defined problems and actionable, workable solutions, please.
Thank you very much for the question. I will just say the problem in a holistic view, let's say. So we have the physical security, which is happening in vessels. We have now the piracy, Somali coast, Southeast Asia. So all these areas are very critical to the shipping industry. We have now the pirates that are equipped with AI and actually targeting ships with autonomous UAVs, with missiles, things like that. So you need to see the problem in a holistic view. So I will say a couple of examples how this can be done all the way. So we have the beyond the horizon, if you like, intelligence. So before even you arrive in this area, you have Earth observation intelligence with satellite images that AI can detect any movement. This has been a technology that exists right now and is being used for security. So you can see movements and decide or notify the force to come and help. So beyond the horizon intelligence is one, and the captain needs to have access to it real time. The second one is onboard long-range UAVs that can send by the ship to 5 nautical miles ahead to monitor again in a more shorter distance. Then you have the physical security that already exists on the ships. And then you have the cybersecurity, as George mentioned. So cybersecurity is really important. Attackers now are attacking the ECTIS system by, for example, GPS spoofing capabilities that we had here with the war in Gaza. And we can see, let's say, without even move, with the autonomous shipping, with a GPS spoofing attack, to move the ship towards the area of the pirates by itself. So you need a holistic approach to this matter. And in combination, governments can help on that because they already have systems of exchanging maritime surveillance data. Currently, Cyprus is on board with the CSN node, the Common Information Sharing Environment of the European Union. So all this data can be exchanged also with the Deputy Minister here, can be
As far as
exchanged.
I know, your company collaborates with the
Yes,
right?
we
Okay.
we have implemented CISE for the government, so we know hands-on. This is a network shared between countries. This also can enhance on this collaboration, let's say, so data can come from the ship itself to the CISE node, and vice versa. Intelligence is important, so we need to prevent that instead of waiting to happen.
I will add human intelligence and artificial intelligence, like a powerful blend there, dynamic blend. So again, to implementation in the maritime industry, and in terms of a wide range of processes and operations that are crucial for the smooth functioning of global trade and transportation, port operation, customs and documentation, vessel maintenance, and environmental management. Ilya, does AI dictate replacing all technology solutions that support these processes with new ones that are AI capable?
So there's no easy answer to this question, Chrysoula. I would say that it depends. There are so many systems out there that Maritime has adopted, and somebody needs to start evaluating whether or not this technology for this specific purpose is actually capable of adopting AI. I will give you examples. There are software out there and systems that they do predictive maintenance, and I'm sure that all of the companies in the industry, they do have such systems. The question is there any embedded AI already in this application, this vertical, most of the times, solution, or not? So with the same, we need to start evaluating all subsystems, understand if they have embedded capabilities, if these embedded capabilities are capable to reach the level of automation and predictability and intelligence that we want in order to have a competitive advantage. And if not, it's not a question of replacing systems that you have spent so much money to not only to buy, but also to train your employees and crew. What we as IBM offer is actually a platform that can integrate with all systems through APIs and modern technology. So you can, we respect your investments, and we can enhance them via APIs with our platform that, as I mentioned in my presentation, has numerous capabilities for AI execution.
Let's talk about automation now in maritime operations. George, what are the associated key cybersecurity risks that we need to consider? What measures are needed, and what is the role of international regulations? I think now my panel will answer the questions that was, in the previous one, so you get the full information now. Yes, please, George.
The first and most critical, I believe, it's the remote hacking, either on a vessel or at a port. For example, imagine to hack the Rotterdam and all the containers start walking around as they need. The disruption of automation, again, it comes to that. Imagine this on a vessel. Imagine this on a UAV, autonomous, to start going anywhere it goes. And something that we are a little bit more familiar, ransomware or malware. To get a ransomware, to lock everything in your infrastructure, and you have to pay, or not, to get your data back. And there we need to have either a good backup solution and offline, online backup, or whatever. You have to be able to support an IDS system, intrusion detection, or even an intrusion prevention system, and to secure the remote access of all the third parties that may want to connect you to your infrastructure to do their work, probably. Regarding regulation, IMO has created a guideline, so any company has to follow this guideline in their SMS system. They also, there is also a resolution that they must accept the risk for all of this. And to my opinion, we have to follow the ISO 27001. But each country has their own regulations. So again, we go to standardization, everything to be on the same way, the same path at least. So that's it. There is nothing more regarding regulation. Only Ajax trying to pass some regulation, but till now only new builds. No in the existing
However, I think it's a
vessel at
matter of
least.
time. I mean, the more we evolve this technology and AI, the more important will be to create and design the framework with the regulations and the standards, which are very essential. So we will remain to the regulations, Dimitri, and how are the ESG regulations transforming businesses and how the global shipping industry may be impacted by the European Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive?
Yes, the new wave of ESG has transformed businesses by embedding sustainability at the core of the business strategy. And also talking about the CSRD regulations, which is fully aligned with the ESRS standards. It uses a more scientific-based approach required companies, including the shipping companies. Because when we're talking about CSRD, we're talking about right now, under the regulations, the companies that have 250 employees more or turnover 40 millions and more, there's a requirement to disclose the ESG criteria. So they are hugely affected. And also the small companies, which are the SMEs, they also have to disclose the ESG requirements because under the CSDD, the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, they have to enclose this criteria because of the supply chain. So it's hugely affected, the shipping industry. On the other hand, the International Maritime Organization's regulations are focused more on the maritime operations, and both regulations, CSRD and IMO, right, they intersect together to drive sustainability and transparency to the shipping industry. So yes, the shipping industry is hugely affected by the regulations, and they need to start take action on to adapt the ESG framework into their strategy.
And what about the businesses that are not in the scope of the regulations under CSRD? How could the small businesses and medium businesses prepare? Are these companies ready for this transition?
Based on our experience, we see SMEs that are ready for that. They have taken actions to adapt a culture within the organization regarding the ESG framework, number one.
They're more flexible, maybe that's
exactly,
why,
yes. Due to the size, they have the more flexibility and they can act proactively in order to build procedures, to build teams, like within the organization in order to implement this framework. And on the other hand, if they don't do that, and they don't provide transparency regarding the ESG criteria, they will face a huge challenge on the global scale. They might lose a competitive advantage. Maybe customers, they don't want to do business with them, or human labor don't want to work for them. So, I mean, all the key stakeholders are very educated about the ESG, and they take action on that, and they make a choice now with whom they're going to do business and with whom they're going to work with. So it's very crucial. And SMEs, they have the advantage now to start preparing to adapt the ESG culture and implement the
easier
ESG
and
framework.
quicker, I would say.
Exactly.
So having all this in mind, we need to focus and express our concerns, but also care for the people who move the ships and serve shipping in general. So they need to face these upcoming risks and challenges. So Marvin, do you think they're ready, even with the proper trainings, to adapt in terms of their mindset and the attitude they have developed? Are they ready, or do you think it would be easier for the upcoming generations of shipping professionals who will be more familiar with the use of AI, who have been cultivated and grown within this technological achievements?
Well, are they ready? I believe they will need some guidance first. It's been two years, I think, now that ChatGPT is around, and still you find new guides every day about prompt engineering, how to use it to the best case. So that will be similarly with applications. For specific applications in Maritime, I hope that clear processes will already be a good guidance, and you don't need huge trainings for that. In regards to the new generation and to technology, it's often seen that like the younger generations are better with technology. I'm not always a fan of that, to be honest. I know so many people that are older than me that are way better with technology. Some engineers that I met on board, IT professionals that I worked with, even people that don't deal professionally with technology. So you mentioned also the word mindset. It comes down to that a little bit. So it's not just the age, I think. And I think at one point, AI will be as common as search engines are now. Actually, it can be quite a nice comparison because we have general search engines like Google, which can be compared to generative or general AIs, and we have very specific search engines or search functions within specific tools, specific programs. Like similarly, we will have specific AI adaptations for specific things. And I think Elias said it earlier, the move with AI from a syntactic to a semantic search. So the comparison is quite fitting, and I believe nobody would say that search engines are only used by digital natives. Obviously, it's something that is common with everybody and with every age group now, and the same will be with AI.
The last question, and I would like to close this session in the most optimistic way. So I would like from Harry and all of you gentlemen, let's briefly share with our cutting-edge trends in AI with a huge and massive impact on Maritime. So, Harry, let's start with you.
Okay, I will give you two. The first one is Edge AI, so AI on the vessel without connectivity, pre-trained to be by itself perform tasks. So the processing power now can be at the edge. You don't need also cloud environments to do this huge processing power that you can see also in the ChatGPT like. This is currently happening, actually. It's not a near future. So IBM also presented the edge, and all the people here presented how this can be also an offline. But I could give you a next level, which is one-bit LLMs. This is a new type of LLMs, which is disruptive. Now the AI business is be able to run an AI on a CPU and not in a GPU. So I don't know if you have NVIDIA stocks. I think if I'm correctly, this will be a breakthrough. So the AI will be able to be trained, not only used. Now most of us are users, to be trained on an actual mobile phone. So you can run LLMs and train LLMs on a CPU level. Now you need GPUs, you need all this huge processing power, also on the cloud, to train them. So this is the actually 2 weeks ago breakthrough from a huge company. That's it from me, from my side.
Thank you for sharing.
Definitely this will evolve on the autonomous capabilities. Okay, you need also the hardware to have autonomous capabilities. And I will agree with someone here, a hybrid approach in the next few years, but then autonomous is inevitably there. First is hybrid. After we get used to, okay, things are working, then we remove humans from the equation of doing the hazards and the difficult stuff, and we will be supervising if AI is not supervising us, but this is a different subject.
Well, I agree with you, and that in the end of the day, it's the people that will deliver the solutions. Because again, with automated ships, some people will manage these automated ships. So again, we end up to people. That's what I believe. Anyone else who would like to share something?
Can I comment?
Yes,
Actually,
please.
I have two comments, one with compliance and one with just what we heard. And it's true, LLMs was 2 years ago. Now, and generative AI in general, it evolves rapidly. We can even keep up with all the advances. So we have now moved from LLM to SLM, small language models, because in general, what we've seen in the industry, and in general as a technology vendor, is that they perform better with as less parameters. They are trained as possible, and we don't need all this footprint of GPUs and emissions and everything that each LLM is actually to comply. It has to report how many hours and how much power it actually used in order to be trained. So we moved to SLMs, and even smaller now, as I said, 1-bit LLMs. But we also try to train these SLMs with our data on computers, CPUs, which it's incredible considering where we were 2 years ago and where we're actually heading. And the second comment I have is about the compliance. Actually, it's a question. Should we wait for the regulation to comply in order to act? An ESG for somebody, for a few, I think, not that is my personal opinion, it's a headache. For the majority, I hope it's not. So this is not the same for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a nightmare. So we don't need to wait for the regulation to dictate what we're going to do for cybersecurity. We need to be very proactive. We understand the threats. There are people out there that can help the industry to make this happen and protect from threats.
You're absolutely right. Preventive and proactive actions keeps out of trouble. Yes.
If I may add something on the AI. Okay. I like to put things in a simple way, right? Most of the people, they don't understand about the AI, right? They hear about the AI, they see solutions, only few developers, they can understand. But it's the human that drives innovation, the human brain, not the technology. So in my opinion, the first step with AI is for the organization, in order to adopt this type of technologies, they need to make a separation, to separate what tasks computers can do and what tasks humans can do. And if we do this exercise, then we're not talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about collective intelligence, which is most important than the technology. The combination of both, it can give you the best outcome. That's why the human will always be in the equation, and it has to be. And this is a decision that the organization can make, not the technology.
I think this perspective makes us feel more comfortable and safe.
Yes.
And it can help us involve more and learn more about AI. Because, I think that's what most people are afraid, that some people, they say, oh, I'm going to lose my job because of AI. So it's a fear, it's there. So we need to make people feel comfortable and safe with this process and this upcoming challenges. We can take it as a threat or as an opportunity to develop ourselves, organizations. Yes, someone else would like to add something? Marvin or George? No. So,
any questions from?
That's it from us. I think we are on time, Mr. Violaris.
Yes, you did excellent, my dear.
Thank you.
Let's see
I
from
had
the
an
questions.
excellent panel of 5.
Thank you very much. My name is John Patiniotis, and congratulations for all that discussed. Two-way question. all these soft skills, ESG, ISO technologies, all these, how do you believe that can prevent or reduce chance of accidents and financial losses? That's the first way. And the second way, if you have an accident using AI, who is the responsible for this? Can we clear the responsibility for this kind of accidents? Thank you.
Sure.
I can
Yes,
get
Harry,
the
please.
second one at least. So for the responsibility, I think for every AI training, in order, now it's a black box for most of the people, needs to be, the humans needs to be in every step of the creating of the model. So if you are supervising every step of the way, when you have the data, when you have the training, when you have the inference level, then responsibility comes to the people. So we need a transparent approach to building the models. Right now, you get a chatbot, you use it. What the chatbot will say, you don't know until you find out. Now, if this is okay because you can call the customer, but what about if it's a critical situation in the government, for example? So you cannot do that. So I think addressing the second part at least, humans will be responsible at creating the models. Now, of course, I can reverse this, getting to a next level, which has happened, thankfully has been stopped by the wise people. AI, creating AI, this is doable. Okay, it has been done. So in that case, this is a dilemma who is a fault. For example, there was a training, I won't mention the military, big military, so they were trying to putting some, let's say, tests, how they can better defend themselves. So the AI was controlling everything, so then it was the humans were putting a lot of problems. Then suddenly they throw the communication tower, and then the AI turned to who throw my communication tower? The next computer, the human, so he attacked the human, so they closed it. So this happened to the US actually, US government, and we need to regulate AI definitely. And governments need yesterday to create teams of scientists with politicians, not just politicians, okay? Not just scientists.
We need experts, yes.
Yes,
Science,
so
for
it
sure.
needs to happen yesterday. We are actually not doing that as fast.
Can I also comment, please?
Of course.
I'm not sure
Answering the second
I'm
part.
not sure if I'm heard. Okay, now
Louder,
you hear.
just
Okay.
a little louder.
So it's a very, very good question, and my answer has two scales. The first one is that my colleague here mentioned that it's the peoples that they train the model that they need to take responsibility. But how do you know, or can you prove that what is actually, that it was not in line with the training that the model got? So this is number one. And number two, it's not in the Maritime, but it was an airliner actually in Canada that they received a lawsuit because the chatbot that they had in their public web page provided wrongful information, and there was a big mess and mix-up with the passengers. So actually, it was the company that took responsibility, because it is the company's responsibility when we come to the enterprise to make sure that it has the mechanism to govern the AI end-to-end.
Perfect. Yes. Yes, Marvin.
I think that is actually a good conclusion. In most cases, I would say it has to be the company's responsibility. I mean, if you go back to the engineering example, if the engineer makes a mistake, it's his mistake. But if he consults with the company, and the company, for example, looks at industry guidelines, and says, okay, according to industry guidelines, in this case, this should be done, and they implement it that way. If that goes wrong, you can't blame the industry guidelines, you can't blame the wider industry for that. You might revise these guidelines afterwards and investigate, but the mistake then lies with the company. And I think AI tools, while incredibly more complex than, let's say, simple guidelines, but in this case, they can be compared to that. You're implementing an AI tool, for example, as a guideline to solve a specific engineering issue, maybe, and then the implementation, which is done by the company, has to be responsible for it. Of course, again, if something happens, it should carry wider circles. It should go back to the AI, it needs to be revised how to train it, but it doesn't resolve the company of the responsibility.
So they need to be responsible and also accountable, because it's two different things. It's before the actions taken and after the actions. Please, yes, Dimitrios.
Yes, one comment, because to compare with the ESG, right? In ESG now, there's a requirement under the principles of responsible investment. Responsible investment. So it's a key word, right? So the European Union requires companies to be responsible. In order to be responsible, you have to measure. Say, for example, an aviation company, right, that pollutes the environment. It has to calculate the GHG emissions now. If they don't improve, there are huge penalties. With AI, it has to be the same. What is the responsible development? We cannot develop whatever we want to the market, right? How is this measured? If something is wrong, what are the penalties? Who is responsible for that? So it has to be a type of framework, right, in order to control this and to measure, and also to be, type of a framework that puts everything in place, and you count. You said you're on accountability, which is a key word. So in AI, it has to be, for me, regulated as soon as possible.
Totally agree.
In regards with this, I will just mention the AI Act, which is late. I would say, okay, it's good, but it's late. And now the European Union will start sending different amendments of the AI Act, because the previous AI Act is not valid anymore because of the technology. So we are already late. So we need to speed up to regulate.
Yes. Sorry, any other? Okay, so no more questions. It's not our fault, it's Adonis, so okay. We can't accept any other questions, so thank you very much for being part of our panel and having this interaction. Although you're not very active, but I'm sure you learned some things. I learned a lot of things. Thank you for that, gentlemen. So thank you very much. Let's go have lunch.
Thank you very much, Chrysoula. Thank you all.